Okay, it's October, my favorite season, and many of us are feeling spooky vibes. And if you're like me, you love it, or maybe you don't, but I love it. But what I don't love is the feeling that many of us in midlife are very familiar with. And that's that feeling that time is slipping away faster and faster, and that fear is tied to something that we don't like to talk about. And that's our mortality, the fact that we feel death looming around the corner down the way. But if you stay with me, I'm going to talk today about how facing that fear can actually help us take some control back of that feeling that time is just slipping away. I'm Giovanna, if you're new here, and I help hardworking women take a pause for self care. And if you're ready to prioritize yourself, join the wait list for the Hiatus Collective, my membership that supports women in taking a break from the hustle so that they can focus on what truly matters. So I used to think that time speeding up was just a well, I mean, it is a normal thing, but I used to think that it was just part of getting older. It's something that we all have to deal with. But I learned through research that it's actually much deeper than that. There is something called terror management theory, and it explains why we feel this way. So, when we become aware, truly aware of our own mortality, and the trigger for that might be something like a health scare or a significant birthday for you or for a child or a parent. You just feel those years passing by. And what it does is it usually causes a lot of people to cling to external achievements even harder, even more so than they already do. We think that if we work harder, if we achieve more, that we can outrun that feeling of time passing by. But I have learned a better way to deal with it, and I'd like to share that with you. But let's talk about what happens when you keep chasing external success. Not that there's anything wrong with having a good career or wealth or even social media recognition, but when you are chasing it so hard because you're trying to outrun something, you don't actually feel better. In fact, studies show that when people are reminded of their mortality, they often get more focused on material goods like money or status. And so that leads to more stress, more burnout, and feeling like we're never doing enough. And a lot of us know that feeling of we're never doing enough, right? And so the good news is that there's another response to the awareness that time is passing by. Instead of clinging to those material things and those external markers of success, we can practice something that is called a death reflection. And let me change this. I know it sounds intense, but stay with me. I'm going to walk you through it. It does sound heavy, but it's actually very empowering. So, if we take some time to actually um, do a shift, to stop focusing so much on our mortality and start focusing on the things that really matter. And that's going to be different for each and every one of us. Things like our relationships, our personal growth, other experiences that make our life rich. If we reflect on these things, it can help slow us down and savor the moment and live intentionally, thereby making time seem less like it's on a bullet train towards our ultimate end. So let's go through the steps of what that actually looks like. So, step number one is to acknowledge why time feels faster. So, as we get older and life becomes more routine, our brain doesn't process everyday moments as deeply as we used to when we were kids. That's why a year feels longer when you're a kid because you're processing new things. Everything is new. But then when you're older, it's routine. And so it just kind of goes by. Like when we drive to work and we don't remember actually driving to work because it's such a routine. But it's not just the routine that's to blame, and routines are not always bad, right? Sometimes we don't need to pay attention to every little thing, but it's also our growing awareness that time is infinite, but we are not. So, as terror management theory explains, when we become aware of our mortality, we feel pressure to do more, to achieve more, to leave a lasting legacy. But instead of making us feel more in control, it makes us feel like time is running out because we are trying to squeeze in all of these things and we're not really connecting with the experience. We're just doing them out of a sense of fear that we won't always have the opportunity to do it. So we got to do it now. And so that actually makes us feel even more like time is running out because we're just filling every single moment with something without really savoring any of the experiences. So, how do we slow things down? We do that by reflecting on what really matters to us. And that's going to be, again, different for everyone. But studies do show that when we take time to really think about our mortality in a deep and reflective way, what's called a death reflection, it can actually lead to positive changes. So instead of focusing on external markers of success, we start to prioritize intrinsic values, things like connecting with others, self awareness, finding joy in small, meaningful moments. Um, and one way that you can do that is to start meditating. And on my channel, I have several meditations like this body scan up here that would be really good for you to take a few minutes in quiet and just connect with how your body is feeling. And have some self awareness about that. And having that as a regular practice definitely helps you to increase and strengthen that connection with yourself and what you value. And so the next step that you can use in this whole process is to um, start introducing novelty into your life. So that's a practical way to slow time down. Because remember, I mentioned in step one of the reasons why time seems to go so slowly when we're a kid is because everything is new and we're really engaging with so many novel activities and people and things. And we can take that same process and apply it now at our big ages. So start doing new things, whether it is, I don't know, trying a new hobby or exploring a different part of your city. You don't have to leave the country or leave the state. Just go someplace in your city that you've never been before, or just switching up your daily routine. Drive a different way to work because it helps your brain pay more attention and it makes time feel slower, which is what we want. We don't want to feel like everything is just going by so quickly, but more importantly, take a moment to reflect on what you want to be remembered for. This is October, as I said, and so instead of just being spooked by time flying by, ask yourself, what really matters to me and what do I want my life to be about? And you may have thought about this before, you may have not thought about it recently, but I will tell you it's not a one and done thing. Growing and staying connected with yourself is a practice, which is why things like yoga, meditation, journaling, things that we do inside of the hiatus space and the hiatus collective, they're so important because we are constantly in flux. And so we constantly need to take a pause, take a hiatus from being so busy, and connect with ourselves so that we can be sure that we're in alignment in all parts of our life. And so, step four is to embrace the power of intentional living. So once you find this shift and you focus to deeper values, things that you really that really matter to you, you'll notice that time to slow down. You'll feel more present, less rushed, and more in control of how you spend your days. And that's what we really want, is to really connect with the time that we have here and to really intentionally spend that time doing the things that matter with us, feeling like we're living life on our own terms instead of just letting it slip away. So, if this video helped you reframe how you think about time, make sure you check out my video, Three Ways to Embrace Soft Life. It's a perfect companion to today's topic and it'll help you slow down even more. I'll link to it here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.